I'm Krista Wax. You are listening to MSP Sound on KFAI, and I'm so excited. I'm joined here by two guests who are part of the Vinyl Revival Min Spin Hennepin County Library upcoming event, February 25th, of Meghan of Kiss the Tiger and Lazerbeak. Hey.
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 We really we didn't even practice that. I feel good about that.
Well, I was searching for my unmute button, so off to a good start.
Yeah. It was dramatic.
Yeah. I'm like, okay. Making a stand, not saying, hey, I like it. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's so great.
2021 style, yeah.
I know. I'm still on mute, or I muted myself. I was in a work meeting today, and someone was off mute and muted themselves while talking. So that was a new one.
Yeah.
It's a 2021 bingo card. Opposite. Well, thank you both so much for joining me today. And aside from talking about the nuances of Zoom and how fun it is, we are talking about this awesome event. Let's tell us a little bit more about Vinyl Revival and how the two of you got involved.
Man, I say I didn't know a lot about it. And then Jeff at the Hennepin County Library or Central Library kind of, I'm assuming the same for you, Meghan, maybe like just hollered. And I was like, oh, you have a ton of vinyl and you want us to talk about it and listen to it? Great. Sold.
Yeah. I had just played, Kiss the Tiger had just played the Hook and Ladder for the Min Spin new artist showcase. So in the midst of communicating about that, Jeff then invited me to be a part of Vinyl Revival with Lazerbeak. So that's how we landed here.
Yes, it's all coming together. It's cool though. Like I always have thought about libraries as books and literature, and I forget that there's also the media component of music and sound. And so I remember when I was learning about Min Spin, kind of a separate program through the library, and just kind of getting to understand that they also offer so much in the form of music. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's been super fun to go through the discography, and I was actually at the library today kind of going through and figuring out which albums I wanted to include in our Vinyl Revival episode, or whatever you'd like to call it. So it was fun to be there and just see the wide selection, and to be in a library. I haven't been in a library in a long time, but they're magical places. And the one downtown in particular is just such a beautiful establishment. So
I was going to say, did that feel crazy? I haven't been in a library since COVID, and not that often before then, if I'm being really honest. I bet it was awesome.
It was awesome. And the vinyl library is like, maybe it's because everybody's masked and behind shields, but like Jeff and I went through doors and down hallways and up elevators, and I was very disoriented. I have no idea where we were, but my dog is growling in the background. But it was cool. I felt like I was in a secret chamber of the library, and I had it all to myself.
Oh my gosh, I
love it.
I'm a library nerd, so I miss my library. I love we can get ebooks, but aside from that, I love that there's like a back staircase. Meghan, did you you have to open out, pull the lever of a book and then like a whole door opens up and a bookshelf? Or magic book somewhere? Tell me.
It wasn't quite that romantic. It was more just cement kind of hallways, but it was still cool. It was still very, very cool, especially the massive classical collection of music that they have, which I didn't get a chance this time around to peruse, but I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah, fascinating. So I didn't get to go in, but the library's kind of cataloged everything through Discogs. So I was like, virtually digging through the records the other day, and I was floored by the amount of classical and jazz and like early folk from around the world too. Very cool.
Wow. Well, I'm sure you want to save a lot of what you're doing for Vinyl Revival, but is there any, can you give us any, like a little sneak preview on anything that, was there anything when you're looking through the vinyl catalog, was there anything that you were searching for? I mean, it sounds like you found some great other categories that you would never have discovered, you know, just hanging out at home, but anything that you were looking for or anything that you were really other surprised or that you will be playing. So many, I'm sorry, I have so many questions right now. I just pick one.
I will say, I was floored by the amount of like deep cut Amy Grant albums that the library has in their possession. And grew up like Heart in Motion by Amy Grant was like a, you know, probably one of my first tapes that I ever had.
Sure.
And song Baby Baby especially was a really big one for me. And I grew up in a pretty Christian household, so that was like one of the only secular albums we got to hear when I was a little kid. So I might be playing some deep cut Amy Grant. That'll be my one reveal. How about you, Megan?
Well, the one thing that I came across that isn't deep cut at all, it's pretty mainstream, but I just haven't revisited in a long time was, and I didn't find the physical copy when I was there, but in the discography was a Nirvana, Nevermind. I had such a moment with Nirvana. It brought me back to being in 8th grade. So I just today, like I walked to the library because I live downtown. I put on that whole album and I was just having kind of a blast from the past experience with my emotions. Cause yeah, but you know, 90s grunge is kind of having a comeback right now, or just that sound I feel like is kind of coming back in. So yeah, I don't know. It was cool for me.
No, insane. I was listening to the radio station today as I was waiting in the car for my kids to be done with the dentist, and it was like every song sounded almost like a Blink-182 song or something. Even like the rap songs kind of sound like Blink-182 right now. And so it's like, it's a very strange, and I'm assuming, I imagine I'm a little older than you, Megan, but I'm 38. And so I grew up on like indie rock and, you know, 90, yeah, a lot of the like grunge stuff. And it's wild to watch the whole thing converge. And I'm just praying to God we don't get the like ska, like Mighty Mighty Bosstones ska revival. That's like the one thing that hasn't come around yet, and I'm just like kind of dreading. No disrespect if any of you Mighty Mighty Bosstones fans or Real Big Fish fans, but I'm hoping that doesn't come back too hard.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I know I should knock on something.
Never say never. It'll probably come back.
But yeah, as far as how the show, you know, we're kind of still in the stages of figuring out how it's going to go. But I think the general idea is that we're kind of going to do a little back and forth, toss the ball kind of situation. And at least for me, the way that I'm looking at it, and I think this is what we talked about last time, Aaron, is like songs, albums that are influences of our own, and then focusing a little bit on some min-spin artists in particular, and then maybe just talking a little bit about our own personal projects. But yeah, I'm just excited to have that conversation and dialogue with you. Like, I think this kind of event probably lends itself better to having artists on artists than doing it by itself, or at least I am excited about doing it that way. Yeah.
100%. I think it's going to make it all the more. I mean, it's exciting right now to hear you be like, oh, I listened to Nevermind by Nirvana, or, you know, things like that. And I think as an artist, I'm always so curious as to what other people in general are listening to, but especially artists that, you know, there's just some sort of kinship, and we all have our own weird upbringings and the stuff that, that inspired us as kids and that now inspires us as we're older. So I'm like a total sucker for those kind of like deep dives. I'm really excited to do that with you, Megan.
Yeah.
And yeah, like she said, I think you know, we're gonna definitely highlight a lot of the local music that Minspin has really kind of put a spotlight on, and we're gonna go into the archives to find some stuff that inspired us coming up, and then also yeah, highlight the things that we've been up to lately and the music that we're actually both making. And I'm really excited too, selfishly, just because I'm a fan of Kiss the Tiger, and if there's any way of possibly hearing a sneak peek of any new Kiss the Tiger music, I would be super psyched about that. No pressure.
No, there's no pressure. I feel like a bad artist in the marketing sense, where I kind of just want to leak all the new stuff. Like, I'm sort of sick of waiting on sharing it, because things were put on hold with everything last year. So there, no pressure. There will be a sneak peek.
Hey,
sneakity peekity.
Wow, you heard it here first.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Do you have any sneak peeks?
I'll take that. Yeah, I just finished mastering my my newest solo album. So yeah, you're on. We'll play some new music.
Cool.
Oh my gosh, it's on. Like, it's not even like a dance off. It just feels like a new music off or something. What just happened?
Yeah.
And then we're gonna make a remix.
The face off. Yes, exactly right.
I love it. Well, Meghan, is there anything you can share about what's going on with Kiss the Tiger? You just performed at the Minspin event. That was awesome. That was so fun. You're one of my favorite bands to see live. So anytime I can, even in the pandemic, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it felt so good. I mean, we've just done a handful of things in the past year. One of them being that KFAI event that you hosted at Spin Studios, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, but the Minspin Artist Showcase was really a highlight, just because we got to play with Venus de Mars, who I've always admired and just think is an awesome freaking artist, and then was introduced to an artist that I didn't know, Fanaka Nation, and they're Kenyan Lao, what they refer to as they do culture rap. So that was,
oh wow,
yeah. There was one song he had, and I wish I could remember the word for papaya salad in Thai, but he had everybody do like a call and response and like saying the word, which I feel bad now. I need to go back and like learn the word and put it in my mouth,
awesome.
because that was his whole thing of like getting us to say it out loud and do that call and response. I love that. But yeah, sure. he had great energy, and yeah, it was just a really good event to be a part of. So yeah, but okay.
And what was it like?
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna ask you. I haven't played a show, I don't think, since it's probably been almost a year, besides like the usual live stream stuff. Mm-hmm. What was it for? One of the first shows you've done as a full band, like on a stage like that?
It was the first time that we were in a venue like that, so we got to do we've done some outdoor stuff, which was also a little odd, but just in terms of safety felt better. But I think like at this point in the pandemic, with face mask wearing and sanitizing and social distancing, like everybody's got that down pretty well. And the Hook and Ladder in particular has been doing stuff for a while now, live streaming. And so it really felt like, yeah, it felt like we were in good hands, and it didn't, the only thing that feels odd is that you don't have more people there, and you don't have, I guess, like all the energy of people's bodies and voices, but yeah, it's still a good energy because you're in a venue and you're doing it on a stage. So yeah, it was cool.
Awesome. Sorry, I cut off the original question though. What
well,
besides
I kind
that
of
show?
Stopped answering. So you asked what else is going on. So we did that, but yeah, so we have an album. We just got test pressings for it. So it's going to be on vinyl. I'm really excited about it. I've listened to our album like way too many times, but every time I like it. So I think that's a good sign. Like I have little moments of doubt of just like, oh shit, like this little thing could have been different. But for the most part, oh, I'm sorry, I swore. Dang it.
Sort it out. She can sort. Yeah.
I'm excited about that. Yeah.
You still like it at this point is amazing, because that I'm always like in the race against time to get an album out before you're sick of it, and I usually fail because you just have to inevitably listen to it so many times until it comes out. So that I'd say that's a great sign. If you don't hate it and you have your test presses back, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it is so many of the songs we haven't even played live yet. So it's that excitement too of just like, oh my God, this is exciting to listen to on a recording. And I mean, I think we record well and we play well live, but I just like prefer the live thing myself. So excited to share it that way when we can. But yeah, what about you, Aaron? What your new solo album?
Yes, I dropped my second album in this kind of solo instrumental trilogy that I'm doing, the cheesiest promotional pitch of all time. I named an album after each one of my 3 kids. So I'm going for the 50-year plus like grandparent market right now.
It's so good.
But Penelope is the one I just put out in the fall, and I just wrapped up Cameron, and my kids are young enough where they don't care and they have no interest at all. Like I'm just like, some point I'm gonna hold it over their head. I made a whole album for you, man. Don't put me in a retirement home or whatever. But right now they could care less. But it's been a really nice it's just been a really helpful. I'm very like task oriented person, and so as soon as I locked in the like, oh, it's gonna be a trilogy and they're each gonna be this long and it's gonna be, the music is gonna play off their personalities, it was just like a very good way for me not lose my entire mind in the last year. And then I've been staying really busy with trying to expand and work with more and more artists. So I got a lot of stuff that hasn't come out yet, but that's in the works. Working on a new record with Lady Midnight that me and Ice Tep are producing as Nightstone. Working with Open Mike Eagle on a few tracks right now, and working with Sophia Eris, like kind of that stuff. And then I'm also really excited because I just I started managing this 14-year-old like virtuoso named Allie McIntosh, and so I've been now at like 38. I got my start in junior high around that age. I mean, playing like 3-chord horrible pop punk or whatever, like most people, but she's like playing like classical, she's like scoring concertos and whatnot anyways, but she also writes really cool pop music, and so I've been like just kind of helping co-produce a little bit, but also just kind of like helping her and her family through this time, and it's been really like a crazy 360 for me, and I'm very much in like a nostalgic, emotional, just like living in this bedroom for the last year. I'm just like, oh my God, I remember when I was 14 and blah, blah, blah. But so it's been a really nice thing to kind of like level up and realize that, I don't know, you're like an old guy, but in a cool way. And then still be able to kind of like help young people along. Anyways, blah, blah, blah. That was an absolute ramble, but that's what I've got going on. And it's been good to stay busy. I'm someone who really needs to, or I kind of lose it. So lots of stuff.
Well, that's exciting. Just a lot of new music that'll be coming out. I'm very excited about this Lady Midnight. Anything.
Yeah.
So,
she's insane. She's so good. Yeah, so good. She put out her last album was like my favorite album of last year across the board. Internationally, I thought there was nothing touching it. I'm just such a huge fan of hers. So yeah, very excited to have anything to do with her.
That's awesome. And more Sophia Eris. I heard, and I did play this track a couple months ago. One of your tracks with her was on that Netflix show, the Ballerina one.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, this is amazing. How does that even happen? Like,
I mean, like, it's so many random ways, you know, like the inside baseball is that like I have a publishing company that is actively kind of in the same way that a booking agent would try to find you shows, you know, they're a licensing company that's actively kind of trying to land things like that. And they work with Sophia and they represent a lot of the songs that we've done together. You know, so that's the like sounds cool answer, but it like, you know, it never happens. So when it does, and you always find out like the morning that it's going to air, and you're just like, wait, what? So it's always a nice little like confidence booster when it happens. But I try to tell whenever I teach or tell artists, like, you know, it's nice work if you can get it, but it's just impossible to ever count on. So, but it was really fun. Like I turned it on and watched it on Netflix, and it's like a 2-minute long dance routine, and it's cool. She's killing it as always. She is a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I always find it fun. I mean, of course, being from Minnesota, I love hearing anything where our local artists are featured on a show. You know, Atmosphere was on like The Good Fight. Yes, I was watching that during quarantine. Christine Baranski, and I was like, wait a minute, what? And they played it multiple times throughout the show. It was just so fun.
Amazing. I love it.
Nuts. I go nuts, scream, I cheer. I'm like, oh my gosh, this going on next week's show.
I know. That's like I love that so much about us as a state. Like, it's sometimes to a fault, but like we're just such big homers. Like, I root so hard for anyone that's from here or has spent like a week here and then goes somewhere, you know, like it's just like we're very proud people, and we're really excited about things that come out of here. And I just have always loved that. I always try to tell bands too, like, you know, if you can get out of this state for even like a long weekend of shows and you come back, like, we just love you so much. You know, you're like, you went away and you spread the word and then you came back to us, like, you know, we got you forever. So I feel like it's unique to this place more than most states.
That's what I hear too. I mean, we're very unique in our community and support of each other and working together. And it's really fun to hear that from different musicians and fans that I've spoken to here, that this is just very unique, that people bop in on other people's albums or help out at a show and like, oh, your bass player can't make it, all fine, I'll be your bass player. Like, how do y'all are so talented? I don't even know. Oh, well, Meghan, Lazerbeak, thank you so much for joining me. So excited about Vinyl Revival. You two will also be, so not only will there be a new music off, and you're going to be picking out some vinyl, talking about it. Anything else? Is there anything else that we need to know about this event besides sign up, register for it?
Well, I think both of us are trying to wrap our brains around creating a visual component to the event via slideshow, which it felt like a daunting task, but now that I'm thinking about it, I'm getting a little excited. Like, okay, what are the possibilities of the visual world via Windows Teams or whatever the platform is that we're using to, I don't know, create some interest, because it's like people register online and they're viewers in the Teams meeting, or like it's basically a similar setup to Zoom. So it's unique in that way, where you get to hang out live with us as we're sharing. And so at least I'm sort of starting to feel that pressure of like, oh, maybe I should create some visual interest, because I don't know how long they're going to want to look at me, or just like look at each other listening to stuff too.
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
That's the I'm like, how do we when I put on this Amy Grant song for the next 4 minutes, what's that like? So it's probably time to figure out the visual thing, so that besides a new music off, there will be like a slideshow off between me and Meghan to see who has the greater PowerPoint skills, which I'm actually really out of I'm gonna have to make some calls.
Yeah, consult a few people to help me out with that.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah,
oh, sorry.
It's gonna be awesome. No, I'm excited, and like, and even just doing this call, you know, it's still a little ways out from this taping, and so I just had kind of like put it in the back of my head, and now I'm like getting amped about it in the same way that like you know, playing a show where it's like, you know, it's on the books for a while, and then all of a sudden it's here and you get super pumped. So I'm really excited. I'm excited to learn more about Meghan's kind of like musical journey. I'm very excited to hear a new Kiss the Tiger song, and then I'm just always excited to work with the Hennepin County Library and just libraries in general. It's just such a nice thing to do, especially in the middle of winter during a pandemic.
Yeah, I echo all of that. And the Minspin artists too, I'm excited. Today I was going on their website and looking at all of the other artists that were added to the 2020 catalog, and some artists that I'm familiar with, but more that I'm not. And it's cool to have that music of Minnesota artists specifically in that one place, because you can generate a Spotify playlist, or you can find Spotify playlists of Minnesota artists, but I think the library's collection in particular is incredibly eclectic, because you have music across so many genres. There's like experimental jazz, improvisational jazz, like Latin music, world music, rock, pop, classical, even, you name it. So it's been cool to look at that resource. And I mean, it's only been around, this is the 4th year, I believe, so it's still relatively new, but it's incredible how much is already there over that, how much music from different artists they've gathered in that short amount of time, and that they've compensated to be a part of that database. That's also really great. So yeah, that I'm also excited about that portion of the final revival episode that we'll be doing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That Minspin program is like, yeah, it's very much worth checking out if you haven't yet, just because of the way it all works, that it shines light on not just like the cool kids or the, like, you know, the hot bands of the moment. It really, like Meghan said, it's all over the place. It gives you like an incredible glimpse at all the different things that are going on here. And also, and maybe most importantly, it, like Meghan said, you know, it puts a little bit of money in those artists' pockets, especially at a time when it's hard to get money in your pocket. So the fact that a lot of programs like that generally just kind of, you know, ask for favors or request albums for free, the fact that they're actually kind of taking the artists into consideration, I think speaks volumes.
Absolutely. I love the Minspin program. That's so cool. Who else does that? No one else does that across the country. Maybe.
I have no idea.
They don't. Nobody does it. Nobody.
It's just us.
But it does kind of go back to that like Minnesota pride thing that feels very present in that programming, and that I appreciate, especially not just the support and the actual financial compensation to artists, but also just going through that that resource online today just gave me this really nice feeling of being a part of a community, even though right now we can't really participate the way that we want to physically in musical spaces. Like, and it actually, I think it's the thing we're all kind of finding in the past year, that there are little silver linings. And so I guess the silver lining of that is, oh, okay, I just came across an artist that I maybe wouldn't have gone out to see live, but now I'm a part of this community of artists because I'm included in it, and being able to browse that music and have access to it is cool. And then just makes me excited for when I can go see that artist live, and I might have not learned about them if I hadn't been a part of it or known about it. So yeah, all cool stuff.
That's true.
Totally.
It sounds like you both are, been handling this pandemic very well. But I do feel bad for all artists, musicians out there, because I think I've said it before on the show, but I feel like y'all are like, this has hit y'all the most, and y'all seem to have a really good attitude considering shows are canceled, venues are, temporary closed. You found ways to work around and do things and perform, Megan, and all that. But and you're not out there protesting about that. Like there are people who are open my gym.
Yeah.
I don't see musicians say, open our
Maybe
we need haircuts.
right.
Christ.
Why is my gym closed? You're crazy. Oh my gosh.
Well, I think it's nice because there are a lot of things, and I am involved in music spheres, but I don't know if either of you know, but my career is in theater and in acting. Like that's how I make my living, and so I kind of have these two things that make up my life that are completely shut down, and it's been nice completely. And it's been nice because I think in both of those industries and in every industry, there's just a lot of reckoning that needs to happen with how institutions are operating and how, sexism and systemic racism and all this stuff is so, it's just like seeped into the pores of all of these things. And so again, silver lining, like we have this time to kind of step back and really see those things in the industries that we participate in. And I know for myself, when I'm going and just focusing on like playing the next gig and doing the next thing, like I tend to just like look past some things or brush things off because the fast pace of the industry or whatever keeps you from really taking the time to process and to come to terms with certain hard things. So, it sucks to not play, but I also think taking a step back, for me anyway, has been helpful and healthy. And hopefully when we step back into it, things can, spaces can be safer, people can be more respectful to one another in spaces, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, that's my that's my 2 cents on all that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, the pause has really allowed for, I think, a lot of reflection and just a time to take stock and hopefully, yeah, like you said, come back making things better. I'm excited for shows though. It's gonna be good when it happens. I'm in no rush, but when
oh my god, it's gonna be so awesome because whether or not you have a following of people, I think like there's just gonna be a built-in audience no matter what, because people are gonna be so hungry for it, and from both sides, like I just think there's gonna be such a renaissance in the arts, especially.
Yeah,
I can't.
I was watching. Have you guys seen that new movie with Riz Ahmed, Sound of Metal, at all, about the drummer? He's like the metal drummer that loses his hearing on the road.
Oh no, I've heard, but no, I haven't seen it.
It's really good, and I was hesitant because I don't love like music band movies necessarily, but it's really good. He's really great, and they also capture like the boring, mundane parts of touring in a van on the road really well. Like they do a montage where you're like, oh yeah, it's really like that. Like you're just stuck in that van eating Cheetos for 10 hours, and then you get on, roll out of it into a 200 cap club or whatever. They have like some really amazing scenes of just like sweaty rock club, with like 300 people pressed against each other, and it just looks so alien to watch that. You're just like, God, I haven't felt that in so long. And it also can feel a little gross too now because I'm so like germ focused or whatever. I'm like, oh my God, we used to all just like slosh year round and sweat all over each other. And you know what I mean? Like sing along, and it'll probably take some adjusting as things get safer, but worth watching that movie just to like, it was the first time in a while that I was like, oh my God, I remember that feeling. It's going to be great. Yeah. This whole like Roaring 20s storyline that's emerging is, I think, no joke. I think we're in for like some party time.
Yeah. I know. I can't wait to get dressed up.
Yeah.
I'm just like, especially with this polar vortex right now. I don't know about you guys. I'm not feeling too cute. I just want to be warm. But I'm going to be looking so cute when we can go back.
We're all, yeah. Everyone's going to be looking amazingly cute. It's going to be the best.
Yeah.
I can't
wait.
We're
going to get there.
I can't wait to sweat in a room with other people. Like when you said 300 people sweaty room, I'm like, oh, I never enjoyed it then, but now I can't wait.
I know. Things we took for granted. I know it has been. I mean, and as someone who's really like kind of gone full on with like mindfulness and gratitudes and things like that over the last 5 years, like this has been a good test for me of just trying, like you talked about, Meghan, the silver linings, like trying to really hold on to those things and not forget that stuff in the midst of tough times. And so, yeah, it's been really fun, like little delights. I'm reading this book right now called The Book of Delights. And this guy, it's by the poet Ross Gay. And he just spent a year every day. He would just write like 3 pages about something that just struck him as a delight that day. And so sometimes it's like, you know, the sound that a cardinal made on my walk to the coffee shop or whatever. And sometimes it's a song and sometimes it's whatever, but it's been a really nice, I read one every day and it's like, oh yeah, life's still awesome. Or there's lots of awesome things within life. And it's been helping me get there. And one of those awesome things in life is the show that me and Meghan are going to do with the
February
Club, right?
At 7 p.m.
Love it.
Featuring all sorts of music from our past, our present, as well as from members of our community and our own musical offerings. Yes. And that's going to be a delight. That's going to be a delight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That was a beautiful plug. That was, I mean, full circle there. Oh my gosh. You too. I can't wait. Oh my gosh. That will be amazing. Vinyl Revival, Thursday, February 25th through the Hennepin Library, Minspin, Lazerbeak, Meghan, Kiss the Tiger. I got it all right. Those are all the.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
It's great to talk with you, Chris.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah. Thank you.